Hey, big shout out today to Biasing Music and Sound, one of our sponsors. Listen, if you need any kind of musical equipment, rental equipment, these guys will definitely take care of you. If you're anywhere in Southern Illinois, give these guys a call.
Just check out, be with the guys, be present with where you're at for the weekend. And I didn't realize how much I needed that.
Welcome to another episode of the Man Up Podcast. I'm your host, Terry Gwaltney. I've got my good friend, Matt Johnson, here with us today. And we're going to be talking about all things camp related as we're closing in on, we're about 5 weeks, a little less than 5 weeks before the 2024 Man Up Adventure Camp happens. And Matt, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I know we don't want to give away all the secrets, but there's a couple of new exciting things that are going to be happening this year. We may want to give them a couple teases before we get out here, but let's talk just a little bit about camp, because we know historically last year 70% of the people made a commitment to go to camp 30 days before camp, and they knew about it for 9 months, but hey, they didn't make a decision until 30 days before. I think typical, we have a bunch of guys procrastinating, but hey guys, you're worth waiting on. We're still waiting on you to click that link, get that ticket, and man up. So talk to us a little bit about camp this year.
So this year's camp, even though a lot of things will be different, a lot of things will be the same. We will, for those guys that were there last year, you kind of know how it goes. It's just cool to come out of the woods and see the campfires going and getting to know guys around the campfires, hearing all the stories that get told, whether it's from the stage or whether it's around one of the fires. We will be adding some games this year.
Yes.
We have a last man standing where we'll have 4 guys in orb balls, seeing who can stay on their feet the longest. So I'm sure that will be the most entertaining moment of camp this year.
Yes, and we have made sure that the MASH tent where all the guys pray for people has been staffed up properly. So if we have any injuries, we don't sweat it. We'll just man up, pray for you, and we'll roll you off to the side, and you'll be fine till Sunday.
And you'll sign a waiver.
Yeah. After you sign the waiver, of course. Yeah, I am looking forward to that. That is going to be a hoot. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I think last year our longest, our camper that traveled the longest distance was from Lincoln, Nebraska. I know for a fact we have somebody coming from Florida this year. I'm not sure where in Florida, but I'm pretty certain Florida is a little further than Nebraska. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool. I'm hoping, my desire would be at one point in our journey that we have somebody from every state there, and that may be 5 years down the road. It may be 6 or 7 years. But I think at one point we'll have enough guys there where there'll be visitors from every state, and we kind of get to spread our message across the country.
Yeah. Yeah, it was cool. We had somebody reach out from Texas this year wanting us to, they couldn't come. They wanted to figure out a way that we could come to them. So it's really neat to see how the word, is kind of beginning to spread. And even though, guys, we tend to put stuff off to the last minute, like we were talking about a while ago, we're still up, I think, almost 30% more now than we had for the whole camp last year. So if those numbers prove, we're going to end up 2 to 3 times where we were at last year. And that was a great group, and phenomenal things obviously happened out of that. So I'm just jacked. So.
Same here. We went into last year with what we call 5 ambassadors, 5 guys that had kind of experienced what the camp should be like. And then, last year with 85 guys there, we had at one point on Sunday, all 85 guys raised their hands and said, they couldn't have enjoyed themselves any more than what they did, and so we left with 85 ambassadors for what we're doing. And I think that's just going to continue. Like you said, we're going to have triple that amount this year, and so we'll have that many more ambassadors, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's just going to get better with age.
Yeah, just like us. We just get better with age. I keep telling my wife that. But anyway. I'm excited. I know we have this year we actually have a cooking team. There's actually one group that, one of their tasks, because it's their joy and their hobby, is to be part of our cooking team. You think we ought to tell them about the appetizer, or think we just ought to let them wait and surprise them?
I mean, I'm all for throwing it out there, but you're the lead on that. I don't want to throw it out there without.
Let's just say your appetizer for most of you guys will be something you've never experienced before. And definitely never over an open pit. So we'll leave it at that. How's that? That'll keep them guessing.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Anyway, guys, in all seriousness, I really encourage you now, if you're listening to this, you need to go and sign up. If you say, I'm coming by myself, that's great. We'll put you in a campsite. You can come. We can put you with a group of guys. I promise you come as a stranger, you're going to leave as friends. You may have 6 to 8 guys, that want to be in a campsite. We'll put all of you guys in the same camp, or one of you guys maybe want to be an adventure captain. It's actually still not too late to be an adventure captain. The most important meeting is going to happen here over the course of the next couple of weeks. All that information is on the Man Up Adventure website. You can click through there and find out, what's involved with being an adventure captain. You can message us on Facebook. We'll let you know how to do that. Again, or maybe there's just 2 of you guys want to come along and we can put you in another group. But the whole deal is you need the ticket to get in, and we need to be prepared for you. We can't be prepared if we don't know you're coming. And so this is the weekend that we talk about that you needed, that you don't even know you need. And do your family a favor. Come and let some guys pour into you. Be in an environment that challenges you to go home and be a better dad. Rethink your legacy. Challenge your purpose again. Like, what is there more to life than just getting up and going to work? Man, let us give a gift to your wife and go back and figure out how to be that better husband, because these are the kind of things that happen in the middle of climbing in an orb ball and throwing an axe and seeing who can throw an anvil the farthest. It's quite a mix, huh? Typical church, right?
Yes, typical man things. I would suggest again to sign up as quick as you can. Get your group going. We have a minimum on a group where it needs to be at 6, and then or can go up as high as 10. But if you're under that level, which is fine, you're going to get put in with another group. So the groups have to be at least 6 people. And what I was finding, like Terry was saying, it can be life-changing. It's a gift to you. It's a gift to your family. But also, when I experienced it firsthand, it wasn't, I didn't have an epiphany or like this moment where I saw my purpose or anything that grand, but I didn't realize how much I needed to check out for a weekend. So, we asked that the guys leave their phones in their trucks for the weekend and just check out, be with the guys, be present with where you're at for the weekend. And I didn't realize how much I needed that. Where it sounds horrible to me when I say it out loud, but not being responsible for my children, not being responsible to my wife, not being responsible to my job for 48 hours or 2.5 days, however you want to look at it, but you're checking out. I had over 200 emails when I came back, but that was okay because, man, having to not look at that device for 3 days, basically, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I didn't look at my phone till heading home on Sunday. And, man, I didn't know how much I needed that, and I did. I really needed just to check out from things, and I didn't need to go to a chiropractor and get needles put in my shoulders to feel the tension release. So it just did it naturally.
So you're saying if the guys need an irresponsible weekend, they ought to come to Man Up Adventure Camp.
Exactly.
There you go, guys. Exactly. You heard it straight from the horse's mouth. No, in all seriousness, if you haven't realized what your rest of your family's already realized, the kind of addiction you probably have to social media, your phone, and email, do a little exercise. Try to leave it at home for 48 hours. Do it this weekend. You're going to realize what a challenge that is. But over this weekend, when the focus is something different, and you leave it in your vehicle and it's purposeful and you're intentionally being present like Matt's talking about, And there can be some clarity that comes that causes your priorities to begin to line up, and a freedom that comes that kind of helps you breathe again. And don't get me wrong, you can go on the website. You'll be given an emergency number. There's a way for your family, obviously, to be able to get a hold of you. You're not that disconnected. It's really more of an exercise in self-discipline. And it's amazing what we heard last year, the clarity of being able to hear God speaking something to you, or listening to what somebody else says and realize, I'm not the only one dealing with that, or I'm not the only one in that situation, or that challenge is not unique just to me. I'm not as isolated maybe as what I thought. Those are some of the things that happened on this weekend. This is why we beg guys, hey, make time. Listen, it was not on the top of the list for me and Matt anytime 2 years ago to go camping. True?
True. In fact, I hadn't been camping since I was probably 14 or 15. And then now I have my own camping gear so that I can do this at least once a year, if not more.
So the point in that is don't get hung up on the camping. It's a part of what you do, but it's not the reason for the weekend. Now, some of you guys, you're avid outdoorsmen, and you're the Bear Grylls, and you're going to eat that up. But I'm just saying, don't disqualify yourself because, camping's not really my thing. We don't really do this just to go camping. And some of the things that are going to happen there, it's just very difficult to replicate that environment anywhere else. And I just challenge you, allow yourself to be stretched a little bit. And I promise you'll find yourself in circumstances and situations in your life where you're actually manning up because of that weekend.
Yeah. The first camp that I went to, I shared a tent with another guy. I think it was like it said eight man tent, which I don't know what kind of 8 man would fit in there.
Small, very small.
Yes. 3 of us fit in there and tightly. So I don't, and we're not big guys ourselves. So I don't know how they get this 8 men, pygmies, I guess. I don't know. But, the guys I camped with were not campers, adamantly against camping, and absolutely enjoyed themselves enough that they've done it 2 more years in a row since then and wouldn't miss it. So if that's another thing should tell you something. If 2 guys that don't even want to camp, they say it themselves, we don't want to camp, and then they came and they're like, it's too good not to be there. So yeah, like Terry said, don't let it be the thing that stops you. And then what I would say, Terry said something about stories connecting us. I was thinking earlier about how generationally our issues are different. So we'll have guys ranging anywhere from probably 19 years old up to 70 at this camp. And we all came up in different generations, and we'll have different problems, different vices, different things we're dealing with. But you'll hear me say it from the stage, and I'll probably say it every year we do this, is that our stories connect us. The stories you hear from the stage, the stories you hear around the campfire help you realize you're not in it alone, that all these other guys are dealing with some form of the same problem, if not the same issue.
Yeah. So. One of the themes for this year, guys, is your story isn't over. And I think it totally aligns with what Matt was just saying. Irregardless of where you're at, however good or however bad it is, maybe you're dealing with a struggle, maybe you're celebrating on a high point, your story isn't over. And man, that is so refreshing to know that, this season that I'm in, that's just a chapter. Man, what's the final book going to look like when that's completely written? And we need to realize that we're just characters in the play. We're not the author of the book. This is a great weekend to come connect with some of that, especially, if you're dealing with big decisions, or maybe you're in a hard place, or maybe you feel like, man, I'm succeeding in these 3 areas, but this one is kicking my butt. I can't seem to master that. This is a great environment to come and get a new grip so you can continue to climb. So,
yeah, for sure. I think when you get out there, at first, well, actually not even at first, we had guys making friends in the parking lot last time. So I started to say you relax the more as the weekend goes, but I think usually by like an hour in, you're pretty relaxed. But you'll see guys open up to each other. And once again, you're sharing your stories, you're sharing what you've been through, what you're going through, what you're coming through. And the idea was that at the end would be that you take that home. And maybe that your group of guys, say you come as one or two guys and you get put in with another group, that you become friends with that group and you have a group of guys that you can lean on outside the camp. Once we're gone, it's cool to come back every year and meet up with your guys, and maybe it's the one time a year where all your buddies come and you make that your weekend every year. But it'd be really cool if you can lean on those guys throughout the year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, guys, just great opportunity to come, disconnect, get away. To what Matt was saying, we're not going to be sitting around a fire singing Kumbaya. That's really not what it's about. But what happens is that guys form those kind of relationships after they hear somebody just kind of open up and, hey, man, I'm dealing with this. Somebody else dealt with that. So you're not forced to say any of that stuff, but the environment's just conducive for guys to kind of share their war stories, and those scars represent something in our life. And for some of us, we can learn. I'd really learn from Matt's scars than mine. My scars are going to remind me of the pain. Matt's scars are going to remind me of the pain I don't want to go through. And this weekend kind of helps facilitate that. Some guys have just, big and bold, and they've went on a video and they just kind of share their story, of their pain and their struggles and kind of what they went through. And I think watching another dude do that, just kind of makes it easier for some of us maybe to take our mask off and maybe be real for a moment. And I wanted to speak to the fact of we don't care whether you're a believer or not on coming to camp. So, and what I mean by that is, if you're listening to this podcast, there's probably a really good chance that, you have, you're somewhere on a faith journey. But maybe not. Maybe you stumbled across this. Maybe, somebody shared this podcast with you. But I would encourage you, if you are on that journey, don't just invite people that are on that journey with you. There's a lot of other guys that need to be on this journey. They need hope. They need to know that there's a heavenly Father that believes in them, that created them for a purpose, that their mistakes haven't disqualified them, haven't separated them from his love or approval. There's a big difference in doing things that our parents, don't approve of, but a good parent never stops loving you through the midst of all that. And when you take that to a heavenly Father, which I know some of us maybe came from a background, maybe you didn't have that. And so maybe your whole view of a heavenly Father, a good Father, doesn't even track with you. Those guys need to be here. They need to feel that. And so you don't have to be a believer. We're not cramming the gospel down anybody's throats during this. I really think we ought to earn the right and the respect to be heard. I don't need to wave a banner and stand out there with a bullhorn and tell somebody they're going to hell. Most people going to hell already know that. What they need to know is that there's an option, and that some of the guys that aren't actually having a pretty good time not going to hell.
For sure. So a few years ago when we decided to start doing this, we would have said we didn't plan on it snowballing and turning into what it's turning into. This was a chance for us to use a property that we have access to. For you guys that don't know, it's a 110-acre farm that backs up to the Shawnee National Forest. It's beautiful. It's a good place to go, even if you're not having a camp out with a bunch of guys. There's trails through the woods. There's all kinds of things to see out there. Beautiful sunsets, on down the list. But we did not think it was going to turn into what it's turned into, and that just shows basically that we're not in control of things out there. Lives have been changed so much from the guys that came to camps and other events we've held out there over the last couple years. And sometimes when I say it that way, it sounds like I'm trying to blow it up. It sounds stiff when I say it that way, but it's not. For God to move in such a relaxed atmosphere is what's interesting to me. To have a bunch of guys hanging out, smoking a cigar if they want around their campfire, but then God's moving. And to see that, one of my favorite moments from last year's camp was on the last day, and you said, how many of you felt you heard from God this weekend? And all 85 hands went up. Every single guy that was at camp. And I don't know, I mean, that may scare some of you guys off. I'm not trying to do that, but when you have 85 guys, and I guarantee everybody came that wasn't a believer last year, but they all felt like they heard from God, whether it was when they were in nature, when they were by themselves, when they heard a story that sounded familiar to them, whatever it may be, you know, they took something away from the weekend, and everybody did. It wasn't one guy. There wasn't one guy that didn't take something away from that weekend.
Yeah, and that could be your story, guys. That could be your story this year. Again, I want to encourage you, go to the Man Up Adventure Camp website, click on there, get your ticket today. Let's throw you in the number, let's get you in a campsite. This year, we actually went out and we have a white glove option. I see there was somebody in my campsite, not a camper, but they didn't want to miss out on some of the stuff we're talking about. And so you literally can rent a tent, rent a mattress, and rent a sleeping bag. And when you show up, we'll have it set up and have all that in your tent, which is exactly what this gentleman did. You don't have to store it all year long. You don't have to go out and make the investment. I don't really know if it's worth it. It doesn't cost hardly anything to be able to do that. But the investment, I think, that you just make into the weekend, it's kind of like anything else. What you put into something determines what you're going to get out of it. Now, me and you can sit here and gripe and complain about how bad the stock market's doing, but in reality, if we don't have any money in the stock market, we don't have any skin in the game. But it's a different conversation if we've got our life savings in there and we've invested in that. We're really paying attention, and we want to know that the outcome is going to be favorable. So I just encourage you guys, go out, make this investment. It can be life-changing, and honestly, it can help change and shape the next generation.
And again, we do have captains that have signed up that are just looking for guys to sign up to fill their group. They didn't bring a group. They want to meet new guys and have a new group. So if you sign up individually, it's not going to be a problem. We got plenty of places for you, and you'll just be making friends is all you'll be doing. So.
Yeah, we had 2 guys. I'll throw this out too. I think there's a place on our website. You may not be able to go physically. You may not be able to go for some type of reason. You literally could sponsor a camp. So there's 10 guys in a camp. You have a leader, 9 other guys. You could sponsor a camp, and then those tickets, you could invite somebody and give them your tickets, or we can try to give them away for you. I know last year a couple of the guys were so impacted they sponsored complete camps before they left. They not only signed up to come back, but they bought tickets a year in advance for other guys because they just knew how impactful it was for them, and they didn't want to hold that close to the vest. They wanted to share it with somebody else. So there's a way for you to get involved. There's a way for you to influence families. There's a way for you to help other men. There's a way for you to leave a legacy and help impact another generation. We want you to be here in person, but for some reason that doesn't work. There's still ways for you to leave a mark. Can't be erased. So anything else you'd like to tell the guys this week?
I think just get signed up. I'm there for the guys. If you get signed up, I'm kind of the point of contact, Matt at manupadventurecamp.com. You can reach out to me. I can adjust camps. I can answer your questions. Just send me an email. There's a few other guys that answer some stuff on the back end off our Facebook page. But anyway, just look forward to seeing everybody out there.
Yeah, guys, help us out. Get the word out. Like and share on Facebook. Share the website. Share the podcast. If you could do that, that'd be awesome because, we're always talking about different things. We just finished another podcast you guys are going to love that has to do with, really how to strengthen your marriage and be able to survive the storms that are coming and be able to keep your financial portfolio intact, keep your family intact, and keep you the center in the lives of your kids and your grandkids. So that's all of what's at risk when our marriages don't work. And so we just finished a podcast with a couple that they're marriage educators for, I think they told me 12,000 couples a year. We're actually bringing them to Legacy Farm in October, but that podcast is going to drop. And so following this podcast, hopefully will be a blessing and help a bunch of people. The other thing I was going to say, one of the other things that we're doing at camp this year is we're actually going to do a Man Up live podcast from camp this year. So imagine 200 or 300 guys circled around a desk out in the middle of the field and us just working the audience with questions, and you can come and be a part of that. So some neat things we have in store. We're not going to reveal everything. We're going to keep it a little bit like Santa Claus. So we'll have the cookies. You show up. I promise, you'll be surprised. It's going to be a great weekend. Final words?
That's it. I think it's good.
That's it. That's a wrap. Listen, guys, go sign up. We'll see you next time. Remember, legacy is not so much what you leave to people, but it's more about what you leave in people. We'll see you next time on the Man Up Podcast. Hey, Terry Gwaltney here from the Man Up Podcast. Listen, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate you supporting the podcast, listening to it. We hope it's adding a ton of value to your life. Also want to ask you to do us a favor. If you could like and share this podcast on wherever you consume your social media content, whether that be YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, we would appreciate it. It just helps us get the word out so we can help more people. And maybe you've never experienced the Man Up Adventure Camp that we do in October. You can check out our Facebook or our website, manup-camp.com. Once again, I want to thank you for listening to the Man Up Podcast, and we'll see you soon.